President Arafat, distinguished members of the Palestine National Authority, distinguished members of the Consular Corps, representatives from Mayor Lanier's office, members of the Board of Governors of Rice University, deans, faculty, students of Rice University, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We wish to welcome you to this special address under the aegis of the Baker Institute Shell Lecture Series. We are delighted that President Arafat has accepted the Baker Institute's invitation and has come to Rice University in Houston during his very heavy schedule in the United States. We deeply appreciate your efforts to be with us. Shukran jazilan. The Baker Institute has been involved since its inception in addressing the Arab-Israeli peace process. The study we published last June on the eve of Benjamin Netanyahu's first visit to Washington as Israel's Prime Minister contained policy options and recommendations which we distributed to domestic and foreign leaders, including President Arafat, opinion makers, and which we believe are as pertinent today as when they were written on how to move the peace process forward. Further, we will publish in April a major study on the impact that the peace process, political, religious, cultural, and social trends in the Middle East and the Gulf have on the global energy sector. Accordingly, it is most timely to have President Arafat with us today. It is now my distinct privilege and my honor to ask the architect of the Madrid peace process and the peace process that flowed from it, the Honorable James A. Baker III, the 61st Secretary of State and Honorary Chair of the Baker Institute. Mr. Baker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Ladies and gentlemen, our speaker today is one of whom it can be said without any exaggeration, he has truly changed the course of history. By agreeing to Palestinian participation in the Arab-Israeli peace process at the Madrid Conference in 1991, he helped begin a process of negotiation and reconciliation that continues to this very day. Because, ladies and gentlemen, of our speaker's courage, Palestinians and Israelis have begun putting aside over 40 years of enmity. Because of our speaker's commitment, the promise of a just and lasting peace in the Mideast is no longer just a pipe dream, but it is a real possibility for all people throughout that troubled region. The peace process, of course, has not been without incident, not without tragedy. Indeed, one of its strongest advocates, Yitzhak Rabin, has already paid for his courage and his commitment with his life. But the peace process continues, most recently, of course, with the important agreement on Hebron. And the hard work of peacemaking has to go forward, as it always has gone forward, painstakingly, even painfully, step by step, and day by day. Progress, of course, will require the continued commitment of political leadership by both sides. It will demand continued support by the vast majority of Palestinians and Israelis who, though they're still wary of each other, long for the true peace and the security so long denied to them. And of course, it will need the continued engagement of friends of peace everywhere. The United States has encouraged peace in the Mideast for many, many years under both Democratic and Republican administrations, and we must continue to play our indispensable role as a catalyst for peace. But I think this means, in turn, educating the American people about the complex and contentious issues surrounding that search for peace in the Mideast. We see our speaker's presence tonight at the Baker Institute as a part of that process of education. And we have extended a similar invitation to Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel in the hope that he too might want to contribute to that process. But I think we would be wise always to remember something that I learned very early on in my own involvement in the Arab-Israeli negotiations. And that is that peace cannot and will not be imposed from the outside. It has to be achieved from within, and it has to be achieved by leaders of courage and vision. Our speaker tonight is just such a leader. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the winner of the 1994 Nobel Prize for Peace, the President of the Palestinian National Authority, Yasser Arafat. Mr. President.
First of all, I have to apologize with my poor language. I can speak Arabic well, but in English, but I will try to speak in English to save time. First of all, I'm here in Texas. And for your information, I was planning when I finished my secondary school to come to Texas University. But because I haven't, during that period, money, I haven't the ability to come. This is the point. So it is something in my heart. Texas University. Then another thing is touching my heart. I can't forget the peaceful initiative which has started from Texas, from President Bush in Madrid conference. And we are here. We had achieved peace because this very important initiative, which had been declared, which had been adopted, which had been pushed by President Bush. We can't forget it. Land for Peace on the platform of 242 and 338. The international legality. This is very important. Till now, I am repeating the same phrase, slogan. President Bush Initiative, Madrid Conference, Land for Peace on the platform of 242 and 338. And we can't forget that the locomotive of Madrid Conference was His Excellency, Mr. Baker. Till today, in the early morning, I was discussing with some elements in the some groups in the United Nations, and I repeated, not to forget the letter of guarantees which had been signed by Mr. Baker. Which had been signed by Mr. Baker, which is actually one of the most important platforms of the peace process. Until now, we are repeating it because it is one of the most important foundations which the peace process had built upon it. We can't forget it. Land for peace, this means that no demographic change can happen in the Palestinian land during the transitional period, including East Jerusalem. I have to apologize that I was obliged to be late 2 hours and a half because we had landed in a wrong airport. We went to Atlanta, the Atlanta airport, and His Excellency President Carter was waiting for me 3 hours till I discovered after landing in the airport that it is the wrong airport. I told him, no one is waiting for us. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Yeah. But the pilot is saying, no, it is the airport which I am coming. I told him, but I am a good navigator. I am an engineer and I am a good navigator. You are a pilot, but I am a good navigator. And I can understand there is something wrong. But I have the opportunity also to visit President Carter, who was the founder of the peace process in Camp David agreement. No one can forget it. And in the same time, we can't forget as Palestinians that President Clinton was the supervisor of 2 agreements, Oslo I agreement and Oslo II agreement in the White House. And President Clinton, Carter. President Clinton, under the supervision of President Clinton in the White House, twice, Oslo I and Oslo II. And no, we can't forget, Mr. Baker, that the co-sponsors of this peace process, not only between the Palestinians and the Israelis, but in Madrid conference was Russia and America. And this is the locomotive of this peace process. But I am sorry to say that we are facing some troubles. I am not criticizing anybody. I am criticizing even myself. I can't forget that the peace which we had achieved is a noble target. And I cannot forget at all that my partner Rabin had lost his life for this peace, the peace of the brave. For this, I am repeating in front of you, Mr. Baker. I'm repeating in front of you, we are completely committed to the peace process. We are completely committed to the peace process. In spite of all the difficulties which we are facing, it is a noble target, not for us, not for the Israelis, not for our generations, but for our children. New era in the Middle East. New era in the Middle East for our children and their children. This is a very important target, a very noble target. And for this, we are committed to the peace process. In spite of all the difficulties and the troubles we are facing, we will continue, we will continue, we will continue. Because it is the Terra Santa, the Holy Land, the peace in the land of peace, in the Terra Santa, in the Holy Land. It is not only for the Palestinians or the Israelis, it is for all the Jews, for all the Christians, for all the Muslims. This is the Terra Santa, the Terra Santa, the Terra Santa, the Holy Land, Palestine, Palestine, Palestine. And there are some difficulties here and there every time. No doubt, we are expecting it. We were expecting it that it would not go smoothly. And you can ask His Excellency, Mr. Baker, how he had troubled himself with us day by night to push forward the peace process. From stage to another stage, from stage to another stage. You can ask him, he can explain more than me, more perfect than me. But this is, as I have mentioned, is a strategic targets, a noble targets. We have to follow up in spite of all the troubles and obstacles we are facing. The last obstacles, as an example, which had been declared by the Israeli government. This Hardhome or Jabal Abu Ghneim settlement and the settlements inside East Jerusalem, which is a clear preaching to what had been agreed upon. First of all, Jabal Abu Ghneim or Hardhome, as they are calling it, it is very dangerous settlement. And for your information, Rabin, my partner Rabin, had refused to accept because it is an old planning. He refused, my partner Rabin, to approach and push it aside. The same, my partner, Prime Minister Shimon Peres. He refused also. Why? Because it is a very sensitive issue, sensitive situation. Because Jabal Abu Ghneim, or as they are calling it, Hardhome, is a part of Beit Lahem. Is a part of Beit Lahem. And their plan is to replace Hardhome instead of Beit Lahem in the celebration of the 2,000 years of our Jesus Christ. Who can accept this among all the Christians, among all the Jews, among all the Muslims? Who can accept this? Definitely no one can accept this. And because of this sensitivity, Rabin had refused to deal with it. Shimon Peres had refused to deal with it. And I am astonished how they are insisting to deal with it now, to separate between Beit Lahem and Jerusalem. This cannot be accepted. It cannot be accepted. What is going also in isolating Jerusalem, in taking the identity cards of the Palestinians who are living in the holy city, Jerusalem, East Jerusalem. We called it the holy city. Others are calling it the East Jerusalem. Is a big crime, because they are saying that you, as an example, some of our Palestinians who are living here, and they, for a long time they are living here, but they are from Jerusalem, so, but they had achieved the American nationality, American passport. They told them, as you have an American passport, you haven't the right to have an identity card from Jerusalem. Unbelievable. They are forgetting that Netanyahu and his colleagues have American passports, and they are not taking the cards from them. We are trying now to solve all these questions slowly, with all our capabilities, but it is not enough. We are in need of your help, Your Excellency. We are in need of your help. We are in need of all your helps. We are in need of the help of the co-sponsors, the United States of America, the supervisor of the peace process, to save the peace process, which are facing some troubles now. And I am sure we will get it. I am sure we will get it. I am sure we will get it. And I have the privilege, the moment I had arrived here, to have a very, very successful, fruitful, positive, warm meeting with His Excellency the President. And he promised me that he will carry on with all his capability to save the peace process. And I trust him. I am closing my eyes. I am trusting him. I am trusting him. I am trusting him. To God. And also I have a very good meeting with beautiful bride, not all brides, beautiful bride. You call it all bride, I call it beautiful bride. And it was a very positive meeting, and she promised also to push forward with all her capability to save the peace process. We are looking everywhere inside Israel, among the Palestinians, because we can't forget that peace has many enemies everywhere, among the Palestinians, among the Israelis. And not to forget my partner Rabin had lost his life because of these fanatic groups in Israel. But in spite of that, we are sure that we will continue the peace process with all our capability, with all our power, with all our strengths, and no return to back. No return to back. No other alternative but to continue. He is telling me it is enough. The time is over. The time is over. Okay, the time is over. But any question, I am ready to reply. Thank you.
President Arafat, we have many, many questions. I've tried to categorize them in groups. If the settlement activity in Hardhome or Jabal Abu Ghanim actually begins, what will be the consequences? Is this an issue that can undercut the final status negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians?
I am worried. Truly, I am worried. I can't give you exact answer to what you are saying, but I am worried. Because what had been declared is not only touching the Palestinians, touching the Palestinians, touching the Arabs, the Christians, the Muslims, and the real Jews.
Will you declare an independent Palestinian state if Hardhome and Jabal Abu Ghneim proceeds forward?
It is one of my options, no doubt. If they will insist to deal alone without returning back to the negotiations, okay, I have the right. This means that I have the right to do the same, to declare something alone without returning back to them. This is why not? I am not thinking of it, but this is one of the options.
The note for the record, which was appended to the Hebron Agreement, enumerated a number of promises which the Palestine Authority had previously made in its agreements with Israel, some of them going back to the original Declaration of Principles in 1993, but which the Palestine Authority has yet to fulfill, including its commitments to complete the process of revising the PLO covenant and to combat terrorist organizations. What is your reaction to that?
First of all, we had, and you can ask the Israeli security system, how we had succeeded to control the security platform. And you can note that in the last year, no one accident except some small accident here or there, and the big accident was coming from the Israeli fanatic groups. But concerning what you are mentioning about the covenant, I had heard this point several times from the moment I had arrived here. For your information, we had fulfilled our pledges because what had been agreed upon in our PNC, clear and obvious, canceling all the items which are contradicting the agreements, the peaceful agreements between us and the Israelis. It's clear. Then we form a committee to offer for our PNC a new covenant. This is a Palestinian issue, pure Palestinian issue. Till now, they haven't a charter in Israel or a covenant. Maybe we will follow like the Israelis, and we will not have a charter or a covenant. Is this a mistake? Definitely not. It's not a mistake. Britain has not a covenant and an institution. Britain. Can you imagine it? It is Britain. They haven't an institution. Okay, so nobody had the right to ask, where is your covenant? The important thing that the items which are contradicting the peaceful agreements between us and the Israelis had been cancelled by more than 2/3 of the members of our PNC. It wasn't easy. And for your information, I had received from Shimon Peres, offering his congratulations to me because of my success and thanking me because I have succeeded to fulfill my pledges concerning this point, or this very serious and important point from their point of view. I had done it. Not only from, also from President Clinton, from Prime Minister Major, from France, from Norway, from Italy, from Japan, from China, from Russia. Many places had sent their congratulations to me and thanks for me because I had fulfilled my promises. So now to repeat, because I had heard it this morning, to repeat that we didn't fulfill our promises. No, we had fulfilled our promises.
Two last questions. In your meetings with President Clinton and Secretary Albright, how would you characterize the administration's position on the Israeli settlement decision concerning Hardhome, Jabal Abu Ghanim?
What His Excellency the President mentioned to the press, that this is a provocation and he is against what had been done. I am following now his steps, how he will follow up to protect the peace process.
The last question, President Arafat, and I must comment before I ask you that Hanan Ashrawi, the Minister of Education, we had the honor of her coming to the Baker Institute at Rice University and addressing the students and the community here. So you could, I think, understand where this question comes from. Yes. She left her mark. What are your plans for ensuring the full and equitable participation of women in Palestinian society?
We are proud, truly, in the Palestinian yard for the role of our hawks. They are our hawks. I never call them, they are our women. They are our hawks. And we are proud of that because they are tough and strong enough, and we cannot forget that the Palestinian women had participated in all our struggle in the different levels, in all fronts, and at the same time, they are well educated. And I am happy that in my cabinet there are women, and in our parliament, legislative council, some of them had been elected, and in the PNC, the same, and they are participating in all levels, by all means, in the Palestinian life.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now my honor to present Dr. Malcolm Gillis, the president of Rice University, who will make a special presentation to President Arafat.
If you permit me to say one thing. Human rights in Palestine is very important. And I will speak frankly. There are some mistakes. But we had dealt with it strongly and face it completely. And all those who had made the mistakes had been offered to the courts. to the law. But not to forget, we are in need of your help to participate, to teach us more and more, because we are still brand new as a state.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Board of Governors, and the faculty, the students, the staff, the alumni, and all friends of Rice University, I welcome you to Houston and to Rice University. In the traditional Arabic greeting, I say, Ahlan wa sahlan bikum. You mentioned Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. Just a very short 2 weeks ago, she stood in this very room, on this very platform, and articulated her vision for American foreign policy. Your presence here today, Mr. President, marks yet another historic event in the life of this university. You have come to the United States bearing renewed hope for peace in a much venerated part of the world, a place that has nurtured the beginnings of the world, of 3 of the world's great religions. You carry with you the hopes of people of goodwill on all continents, and we are pleased and honored that you have accepted our invitation to share with us your thoughts about the peace process. There is no higher earthly calling than the pursuit of lasting peace among peoples and nations. Success will provide a lasting legacy to all those who are now living and a priceless birthright for those that are yet to be born, not only in the Middle East, but on all points of the compass. Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting to you a small token of our appreciation on behalf of Rice University, and we hope that over time it will help you recall your long-standing association with both Secretary Baker and Ambassador Jurizian, and your new association with Rice University and with Houston, Texas.
Thank you very much, President Arafat, distinguished guests. If we will now just stay in your places, and we will escort the chairman out.
We cannot forget, before ending this meeting, your role in the peace process.
Thank you.
President Clinton's role in the peace negotiation at this point? Are you still very optimistic? هل أنت متفائل؟
Definite. And for this I am here in this very important visit. And I'm sure that we will continue together to push forward the peace process. It's not easy, I know, but this is a noble target, as I have mentioned. And I have a full trust and full hope from this visit.
Okay, how do you feel about Iran undermining the peace process by supplying weapons, including the possibility of Stinger missiles taken from Afghanistan to the Hezbollah?
I'm sorry to say that the Iranians are supporting all the fanatic groups, including our fanatic groups in the Palestinian field.
I'll ask it in English and Arabic. We always say when something happens that it's a big deal. Like a massacre may happen at the mosque, and then the tunnel happened in Jerusalem, and now the settlement. When is the word gonna call our bluff that nothing is really a big deal with us? كل ما بيصير غرض بالساحة الفلسطينية من مجزرة بمسجد للتانل نفط. إنه أمتين بقى هالبيج ديل هالمصيبة رح تصير بقى. كل مرة منهم ما رح نتحمل بقى. هيدي هي لهون لحد هون وبس. وبنرجع نتغاضى عن الشيء وبيستمر كأنه شيئا لم يكن.
أول شيء I'm sorry to I will in Arabic or in English.
عرفت عربي يهمنا جواب منيح وعرفت.
يعني المهم انه نصل لسلام عادل ودائم وشامل.
The important thing is to reach a peace that is
comprehensive, lasting, peaceful solution. We know it is not easy. We know it is not easy because there are many enemies for the peace process. And at the two sides, to speak frankly. But the most important thing, how to push forward in spite of all the challenges which we are facing.
And do you think this path is going to get us there?
And in spite of that, in spite of what we are facing, in spite of what we are paying in the two sides, we are willing to achieve the real peace, not only in the Palestinian front, not only in the Palestinian track, but also in the Syrian track, in the Lebanese track, to have comprehensive, lasting, peaceful solution.
Sir, I'd like to ask you very quickly, you have not traveled a great deal in America, specifically outside of Washington and New York. I'm curious just a little bit about your impressions over the last few days, and in particular, are your impressions of America and Americans different than those you might have held 10 years ago?
No. They are in English. هم من أكثر طيبة مما كنت أتوقع.
Americans in general are they are, good-hearted more than I have expected.
And وبهذا أنا متأكد بهذه الروح التي يتمتع بها الشعب الأمريكي والقيادة الأمريكية سنحرز الشيء الكثير في عملية السلام بل وفي العالم أجمع.
With such spirit among the American masses and the American politicians, we're sure that we will achieve a lot in the peace and other fields.
Well, sir, on the same vein, you mentioned earlier that you had thought about coming to Texas earlier. We're curious, why would you think of coming to Texas if you've never been to this part of the country before?
Why what, sir?
Why would you think of coming to Texas as a student earlier?
ليش فكرت انك تجي؟
هذه كانت أمنية كل واحد مني ومن زملائي في ذلك الحين إنه يجي يكمل تعليمه في أمريكا.
It was the wish of all of my generation to come to America to finish their high schools.
وبعضهم تمكن.
Some of them managed to do that.
ظروفهم المالية كانت أحسن من ظروفي.
Their financial situations were better than mine.
وكنت أتمنى أن يكون عندي نفس الظروف.
And I wished I had the same circumstances.
That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.